Hi there, my name is Toby Sillman and I'm a senior at Brookline High School. I wanted to show this video to all of you because climate change is the most important and it's the most pressing issue of our time. But I'm not here to show you what you've already seen on the news. In fact, I wanted to show you all the great work that's being done by people in our community and what more needs to be done to address climate change.
Plant-based foods are better for the environment, but they're also better for animals, and they're kosher, they're halal, they're dairy-free, egg-free for students who are lactose intolerant or have egg allergies. When I heard that the committee was working on a sustainability policy, I wanted to get involved and help make sure that food was addressed in the policy. So I reached out to Precinct 11 town meeting member Shira Fisher, and together with my club, we drafted a couple of paragraphs about food sustainability, about serving more plant-based foods, more sustainable foods in school cafeterias, and we sent that to the school committee. And we organized students to write to school committee members, to speak to school committee members during public comment periods, and with the support of food services, what we drafted was added to the policy, and then the policy passed unanimously in October.
And what we're doing is pledging to serve 50% of our meals or menu items in the schools, in all schools in Brookline, plant-based. So we have been transitioning from using single-use disposable, whether it's plastic or compostable, and transition into reusable. If we don't think about the waste and think about how to make this sustainable, then it's gonna be costly. If we don't transition, we're throwing probably $150,000 to $200,000 away every year on disposables. So I think that there's gonna be a lot of work done this year, and I hope that with the support of everyone, we can get more done.
School buildings, like all buildings in Massachusetts, need heating, and these days also need cooling. And that leaves two different kinds of heat pumps. One is called air source, and the other is called ground source. So geothermal heat pumps are more expensive to build, but they cost much less to operate. If you're going to be in the building 30, 50, 80, 100 years, that lower operating cost ends up saving the community far more money in the long run. And because we have local and state climate requirements, emissions requirements, we know we cannot be burning fossil fuels in buildings after 2050. And we fully expect Pierce, a building we're building in 2025, 2026, to be operating in 2050. Lord knows it better be, right? And so we want to build this building the right way the first time, consistent with all of our requirements for the next 25 years and more. So we can't do oil or gas. It's absolutely not possible from a policy perspective. And so we could do air source or we could do ground source. Air source is cheaper up front, but the total cost is higher. Ground source is more expensive up front, but the total cost is lower. And that's why I think the town made the decision to pursue ground source heat pumps for both Driscoll and for Pierce.
Biking is very important to me. I work in downtown Boston and in parts of Cambridge, so I bike there. It's just over during the summer, but I have to bike there. I feel like it's definitely safer to bike in Brookline than in Boston. It's a lot more cars in like the downtown Boston area especially. But Cambridge is definitely better. They have protected bike lanes. Like for example, along the Charles and like near Harvard and MIT, all the bike lanes are protected. So definitely much nicer biking there than in Brookline. On my way from my house to the school, I go down Beacon Street every single day. And there is a huge downhill where there is no bike lanes and you are in the same lane as the cars. So the cars are already going, I'd say like 40, 50 miles an hour and you're on a bike. So, I mean, it's very scary biking down it, but you have to do it every single day. I think it's great that the school committee sustainability task force is endorsing the bicycle advisory committee's green routes plan. I noticed that like since there's not a lot of like protected bike lanes on like these smaller roads that have a lot of like blind corners and turns and where the bikers share the same lane with the cars. There's a lot of my friends that live very, very close to the school but still get driven to school every single day, which I think is just first like very inconvenient for them because it probably takes longer by car than to bike here, since you have to like start up the car and you have to get a parent to drive you. But they don't really have a choice because they don't feel safe biking in the same lane as cars.
I would love to work with the school department to help younger kids learn how to not only bike safely, but also cross the street safely, know what the right signals are, know what the right sort of pavement markings mean. I think it'd be great if we had a comprehensive educational system, maybe as part of the PE curriculum.
I'd love to see the school committee take a position on student safety getting to school. We're very lucky in Brookline. I think we have one of the highest percentages of kids who get to school by means other than cars. And that's wonderful. And we don't have tons of big yellow school buses rumbling around in our streets. And that's also wonderful. And that's good for everyone. And I would love to see the school committee be more supportive of that and say that they think this is a good thing for Brookline. And then to take the next logical step, which is to support more grade-separated bike lanes to allow more kids to get there safer, and slower streets to allow people that get to school in ways other than driving to get there safe. You know, I've seen people driving like idiots and putting kids trying to get to school in danger. So I'd love to see the school committee take a position to be supportive of the work that we're trying to do to slow things down, to add more grade separated and safer infrastructure for kids riding their bikes or scooting, and generally be more supportive of pedestrian infrastructure, especially near schools.
As for my work on the Transportation Subcommittee, I've worked with an amazing group of students and adults in researching electric bus grants, organizing bike buses to schools, publishing an op-ed urging students to bike rather than drive, and more. But enough about me. Let's talk about bike lanes. I'm currently standing in front of what is one of Brookline's only protected bike lanes. These bike lanes are great because they give cyclists several feet of space between oncoming traffic and themselves, and we really want to see lanes like these pop up all over the district. And that starts with school administrators, parents, and the school committee. We want them to be vocal in their support for protected bike lanes like these on streets like Greeno Street right here, Tappan Street right in front of where I'm standing, and Washington Street where there's a bike lane currently being debated, so that every school and every neighborhood in the town of Brookline can have access to a bike lane as beautiful as this one.
So of the 4 subcommittees, the focus of my committee curriculum is to really think about our direct instruction that we're having and the experiences that we're providing. So it's really trying to get that K-12, pre-K to 12 sequencing, an understanding of that, how we can begin building climate and sustainability strand along with that. So there's a lot that can be done, particularly around climate change and connecting what we already teach. I think teachers do need some training and opportunities to begin to understand how their curriculum can or does already connect. So there's a little bit of a budget commitment there. We're talking about a big, complicated issue. Again, I think a lot of people are getting down from climate change. Of course, I don't think it has to be that way. I like to say that engagement and activism is the antidote to despair. When you give a young person or a person something to do to begin to address the problem, they become empowered. They begin to see themselves as powerful and impactful, and that's phenomenal for all of our social emotional well-being.